Happy Saturday. Hello and welcome to episode 69 of the Guest Life podcast. Today we got a very special guest. He rode his bike here in the rain. Just kidding. We've got Mark Davies from Davies General Contracting. He's a good friend of mine. He's a local legend. And we're going to get into, what brings Mark to the stage, some of the stuff that he's overcome and conquered during his entrepreneurial journey. And it's Saturday morning. The sun is shining through the clouds somewhere. If you guys hear thunder throughout the episode, just know that we are safe, and we're gonna have some fun. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Dan.
So, Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, before we get started here, guys, we're gonna get into some stuff today. Episode 69. Everybody, let's make a joke of it now so that we can giggle together. But before we get started, thanks for tuning in, guys. I still can't believe it. We've hit the 5-year mark with the podcast.
It's amazing.
69 episodes and more to come. I can't believe it. We talked about you coming on the show when?
A while ago.
Yeah,
I delayed it for sure.
Yeah, so it's great to finally have you. But for everybody tuning in, I just want to thank you guys for listeners. Again, we do this out of pure joy, getting to hear these stories and seeing and being able to showcase some local talent. So, Mark, we're going to start you off. What was your first paid job? We were talking about this earlier and what it meant to you.
My first paid job was a dairy clerk at Bob's No Frills, downtown Burlington. So this place was right across the street from our high school. So it was like a natural job for all like the young kids, like girls and boys. So the girls were all cashiers and the guys all worked in like the stocking the shelf. So we all worked there, like 4 or 5 of our buddies. So you'd go there after school. You start at like 3:30, you work till 9, like 4 days a week, and then Saturday, Sunday. But it was important to me because, so the owner there, Bob Nadolko, great guy, still talk to him. He was the hardest worker out of anyone. Okay. And like that as my first boss, like instilled some already good work ethic that I had, but right from the get-go. So it was great to work with him. And then looking back now, I message him here and there and I'm like, man, you really worked hard, eh? And he's like, yeah, that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. You have to lead by example.
Yeah. Man, it's so funny talking about that. It's like, you see, that was a classic. No frills for Tino's, right? The Saturday mornings, it's so fun. I always when I always talk to the cashier, I was like, what are you taking in school? Like, what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
It's cool to see them getting after it. And it's also, you also get to see like the whole community, I'm sure, stocking the shelves.
Yeah, exactly. So downtown Burlington, I grew up there. So it's like, you do see the whole community. Everybody his parents are shopping there and stuff, and they're coming to see you on the weekends and like things like that. And like, we're young. We like to have fun at work too, but like we also had like all the work to get done. Like there's a bunch of, we were like 16 to 18 there. So like we were kind of shit disturbers, but we still got our work done. Like showing up hungover as a kid there and like Bob knowing that we're hungover and he would like grind us even harder like throughout the day, but he knew like we still showed up, right? Like So
it's funny when you're as you get a little bit older, it's hard for people to get that past you. Thinking about that. So how did that transition, man? What was next? Tell us a little bit about the journey.
From there, I ended up at university.
You didn't want to make that a career?
No, I did not want to make it a career. Yeah. I always had interest in construction, but when I was in high school, there was like this negative attitude towards construction. I still think there is, which is great because there's people like you with the trade school and then trying to promote that trades is actually a great opportunity. Mm-hmm. I ended up going to university for marketing. I didn't like it. I liked being in university. It was great.
What university you go to?
University of Guelph.
Awesome.
Party school. That's what I was good at.
Go Griffins.
I didn't excel in school, barely made it out, stayed probably to make my parents happy, 5-year plan. But I worked construction in the summer.
Okay.
Doing like concrete and concrete pools. I ended up staying with them after university. Okay. Like it was 2008, which I guess there was a recession going on. I couldn't get a marketing job and the pay was shit. Like
Okay.
you're talking like $30,000 a year. Whereas my boss was like, I'll pay you like $26 an hour and you can work 60, 70 hours a week. Really liked it. Stayed with them for like 5 or 6 years. And I liked the construction industry was like kind of where I wanted to be. Like there was like a brotherhood of guys that I'd worked with for 7, 8 years. You knew everything about them, everything about their life. You worked side by side with them like 8 to 10 hours a day and like doing like, we did hard work. And when you work with someone like day in and day out, hard work, there's a bond there that like it's unbreakable. So we also traveled together down to Florida. They had properties down there that we worked on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was
Very
like,
cool.
yeah, like, and they built high-end custom pools, like all concrete. So
Oh, wow.
downtown Oakville, Lakeshore in Burlington, North Shore in Burlington, like these places are unbelievable. Indoor pool house for like Drake and stuff. Like it's nuts. Yeah, like.
So question about that '08, because I was a little bit late to that. Like I wasn't in, it wasn't in my career at that point. What did that look like? Did you guys know you were in a recession? Was it a buzzword?
I didn't know like what it meant, but like everything around, like people weren't hiring. Also, I didn't really want to be in marketing and sales and things like that. But like we knew, like my parents felt it, everybody around kind of felt it. But for some reason, like this business, he always was like, man, like this is our busiest year. Like their clientele, it didn't fucking matter.
Okay.
Like it didn't matter. And then that's like kind of me now. Like people talk about what the economic state of Canada is and everything.
Just pull that mic over, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like where we are and like this and that and politics, which I try to stay out of because I don't care. But like in a perfect world and what I'm going for, my ideal client is not affected by this stuff. Like they have the money to spend and like that's who I want to work with.
Yeah.
If the economic downturn and everything is affecting you, you're probably not the client for us. And like, that's what it is, right? There's probably someone out there, maybe on Kijiji, or maybe that has, lower overhead, or maybe that doesn't do as high quality. There could be a whole bunch of factors in there, but we're not your guy, and that's fine. And then we try to determine that like immediately off the hop, like, what's your budget? Like, what are you looking for? Like, I need to know this before I even take the next step to you.
Yeah. Yeah, vetting that client to make sure that they're the right fit.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of like, I call it filtering fast. It's like that 30-minute phone conversation is saving me a trip to go out there because we don't charge for estimates yet, which we want to eventually, which also weeds out even more people because if you're not going to spend $250 for me to come and see you, how am I going to get $55,000 for a bathroom from you?
Yeah.
Like, whereas some people are like, oh, for sure I'll pay $250 to figure out which contractor I'm going to get for this beautiful renovation that I want. Like... So
barrier to entry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and like, at what point did you make that kind of connection? Because taking it back a step, like when you were going through high school, right? And you talk about that low barrier to entry with marketing. So you just made that $30,000 salary. Was there a pathway for you for the future of that? Or was it like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going to get into marketing and finish off like that.
I had no clue.
Nothing.
No clue.
Did they teach you anything about like the career path in school?
No, nothing. Like aside from who I met in university, and this is probably partially my fault as well, I didn't learn much in university, but I did meet like very good connections where my first construction project manager job came from was a guy I went to university with that's family owned a general contracting company. So there you go. The people I'm still friends with now in the construction industry, people who I met in university that I seek to for information on like, what are you guys doing for this? And like, how would you approach these situations? So I met people in university. So great. Nothing to do with what I went to school for. Maybe some now, but marketing has changed so much from whenever I was in school, 2004, 2008 to now, like what they're teaching then is nowhere near what's happening now probably.
Okay.
But there's still probably stuff you can pull. Like if you go back to, we talked about Gary Vee, like Gary Vee does like some of the old school stuff, like in the old school sales and marketing still works because some of that demographic fall in that category, right? Like picking up the phone and calling that senior client. They don't want to read the email. They want to hear like what your family's doing for Christmas and like that type of stuff. Or you drop off a gift basket. Yeah. Like that stuff is the old school stuff, right? Like that people go away from because we've gone to this like social media era, right? Where it's just like, we'll send you an email or we'll like do a post and thank everybody at the same time versus make 25 phone calls around Christmas and see what happens. And then send out a card with like a small gift card about like craft beer or like a wine that they drank or something.
Yeah. So, be intentional.
Exactly. And that stuff, like, the example he gave, it might not pay. I'm not doing it for like a payoff. Like right now, I'm not doing it for a payoff at all. Like I'm doing it because like that's like the type of person I am. I really did appreciate the business that they gave us. Like
Totally.
like it paid my bills, it paid my employees' bills, and it paid like the subcontractors' bills. Like which is very important at like in the business we're in, right?
100%.
Like our lives depend on it.
100%. Yeah. Well, and explaining that to them, the subs, the clients, I think that's fantastic. And so you finished Guelph. You know how to market like a rock star, but you don't want to get paid nothing. So you're going pools, you're going hard, you're getting a tan.
Yeah.
You got the guns out.
That was the best.
There was no sleeves on any shirts.
No, we didn't even have to wear a shirt. And it was like, I would leave the house in the morning, no shirt on, lunch pail, ready to go,
Boots,
work all day.
Cutaway jorts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I used to like to drink then, and my boss also liked to drink. So we were allowed to drink at work, and we would drink all day.
Yeah.
So like that was a cool part of it. You're like 20 to 25 to 26.
Yeah.
Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
We still got work done, but it was like at the time I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Looking back, it's like highly illegal. Probably those lines weren't as straight as I thought they were.
Yeah, and it'd be funny too because you're on this $1 million job on Lakeshore, and it's the clients come out like, hey, like, do you guys want water? And like my boss would look at them and be like, no, we want a case of Bud. And they'd be like, what? Like, yeah, we want a case of Bud. And they would bring us back like beers and stuff. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I think they were next level of like the best of the best. I mean, there was kind of some flexibility on the request and demands on like this extremely hard day of concrete pouring and things like that. It's like, okay, these guys are working their ass off. They want a couple beers. All right. Like, well, let's get them some beers.
Yeah.
Like,
they've sweat out that alcohol content in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so then how'd you transition? Where did Davies come from? How'd you get started?
Ended up there. So I left that company I always enjoyed the renovation aspect of it. But I knew I was meant for greater things than being on the tools.
Yeah.
I grew up being told I was a good leader. Like it was always like captain of every sports team, things like that. So I was like, you know what, like a pretty good manager. So I moved to a project manager role at a general contractor out of Toronto.
Cool.
Which was a very, very hard job. Like they put so many jobs on your plate with very little resources and was like, figure it out, which was awesome because you end up having to figure it out.
Yeah.
I was there for 7 years.
Wow.
During that time, I saw others around me at the same company like start their own on the side and kind of you had the flexibility as long as you got your stuff done during the day and it didn't conflict with your existing clients. Like I wasn't stealing their clients. You could do some side work. So natural progression, started my own company. Someone reached out to me and was like, hey, do our main floor. So they gave me opportunity to do their main floor, knocked it out of the park. And then I was like, well, I actually made some pretty good money on that. I'm like, you know, everything went pretty well. Like we eliminated all the issues that like I was running into at this company. I'm like, okay, so communicate, you know, high quality trades, like on time, on budget, all these things. And then I did a couple more on the side and it was like, okay, like when am I going to do this? But I was stuck at this company. I didn't want to make like the leap. COVID, April, May 2020, I got laid off and I was like, okay, like this sucks. So what am I going to do?
What type of work were you doing for the GC?
Anything from bathroom renovations all the way up to like full additions and full house remodels. So you were doing like, you know, at any point, any time you'd have 4 bathrooms, a couple kitchens and a new addition going on. So you're running around like crazy and dealing with some good subcontractors, some terrible subcontractors, some terrible budgets given by the sales reps, but then some good budgets. So it's like, you know, so many issues here and there. And then I ended up being like one of the longest running employees at the company. So I kept on getting everybody's like BS that get like, you know, 1 p.m. would leave. It's like, oh, just give it to Mark and he'll pick up the scraps. And it was like, that was like very, very hard to deal with because when you pick up a project halfway through of just like someone not doing their job, it's very hard for me to bounce back, and the client didn't matter what you did. Like they were already like so mad and the job was already off like so bad. So, but from there, COVID hit. I had some health problems. The outcome of those health problems was I need to own my own company and control everything that I can control to reduce the stress on my body. And then also I was like, you know what? I think I can actually be pretty good at this with like this, my level-headedness that I'm starting to realize that I had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I went all in.
Yeah.
Was like, you know what? I'm going to just do the best I can. And here we are 4.5 years later.
Congratulations.
Coming up on 5. I've had some very successful years, super happy clients, a lot of like amazing projects. Like I love renovating. Like I love the idea of like changing spaces and everything like that too. So it's
amazing.
Some cool projects, residential, some dabbled into some commercial as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like when you mix that experience and then that ability to be creative on your own, it can really create some magic, right? And that excitement.
Yeah.
I'll challenge you a little bit on controlling your levels of stress on your own business. I'll never forget one of the thoughts I had. It was a very ignorant thought, but it was, I'll just start my own company to get my time back.
Yeah, I think you said that at one of the guest speaker events that I went to with the West End Builders Association, and it hit the nail on the head, right? Because you end up, I work a lot like you, but I enjoy it.
Love it.
Like last night, I'm at my laptop till 9:00 because like there is so much work to be done, and I've shifted my mindset, and it's like, what a privilege right now to have this work, to be able to, because, you know, a couple months ago, like there wasn't much on my plate, and I'm like, what am I doing? But now it's like, whoa, I've got like 10 quotes to go out and like 10 projects to schedule. I'm like, all right, like I asked for this. This is exactly what I asked for.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm pretty grateful and thankful that that's come around, and to be able to be in control. Yeah. You do pick and choose, but you still get like the highs and the lows of being an entrepreneur, right? Like I can go on vacation. Am I going to work on a vacation? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I get to go to some of the coolest places in the world. Like it's great.
Yeah. It's something that can be, I find it's something that needs to be discussed with people when they make their external decisions, or judgment's kind of a tough word. I think it's more like it needs to be discussed and understood of what it feels like to be able to be somewhere else or be warm in the winter and working. And like someone might get bothered by that. Like, oh, you're always working. You're always on your laptop. You're always on your phone. It's like, yeah, what a privilege, right? Like, yeah, I could be on the other side of the country or another side of the world on my phone getting paid to do something back home, and then, you know, rely on good quality trades or good quality relationships or staff to execute on that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I don't know if you guys have met Mark. I've met Mark, and Mark is a absolute unit. So we're going to talk about Ironman. How did you get from contractor to Ironman to drinking on the job? What was this transition? I know there were some health reasons, but at the same time, I know a lot of people that had some health challenges and they didn't take it to the other extreme.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. So you touched on that. So I'm an athlete now. I was growing up, and then I fell into the partying lifestyle for like a better part of like, I want to say like 20 to 25 years, probably from like 20 to 30. Didn't really focus on my health. When I did get sick, I had to change ultimately who I was.
Okay.
So I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, hospitalized. It's a terrible disease, but I chose to turn it into like a very positive experience. To rewrite my script pretty much.
Amazing.
So in that, it was like I got into like, you know, started riding my bike because I was recovering because I had like, you know, I lost a shitload of weight, kind of defeated pretty much. So I started riding my bike every day. I was watching like every single David Goggins video of like going hard, and like I posted so much about it. And one of my now best friends like reached out to me, and he was like, hey, like you should do a triathlon. And I was like, no way. And he's like, you should try it. Like you're biking like pretty aggressively. I went out to a couple like these club meets with the local triathlon club. Yeah. And like I kept up with like these guys have been cycling for like 20 years or whatever. And they were like, who the hell is this kid? Yeah. I'm like, okay. So fast forward a couple months, I committed to doing a triathlon with my buddy Ben. He challenged me.
Amazing.
So I spent the better part of a year training for the half Ironman and a full Ironman. And it's like from not running, cycling, or swimming and dedicating like that amount of time to it. Like the progression from going from nothing to be able to go to this, it was like an incredible journey and experience. And then actually doing it was one of the best feelings I've ever had in my entire life. Like wow. You just spent a year training and then you go and do this feat that you never would have thought possible. If you asked me in even 2020, if you asked me in January 2020, if I was going to be doing an Ironman in like whatever it was, I think it was October 2022, that I'd be doing this, I would have you would have laughed hysterically.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about the Ironman and like the triathlon training, it's like it is an individual sport.
Yeah.
But nobody is competing against each other. Like everybody is encouraging you to do this. And like you could be out there and like you're running beside someone and they're like, yo, keep it up. Like you got this. Or you talk to these people on your run because it's when you get to the run, it's people are walking, people are going down. So you run into these people. You know, this guy's done 10 Ironmans and he's like 80 and you're like, okay, I have no excuse to quit right now. Like, or it's like, I ran into someone that was like a 2-time cancer survivor.
Wow.
Doing their like 10th Ironman. And I was like, man, like once again, I cannot quit right now. Like this guy has had it way worse than I have. And like, I'm complaining about my ankle hurting right now. I'm like, I'm just going to keep on going. So like the community is like one of the best communities to be in. Everybody, like I said, it's an individual sport, but it might as well be a team sport.
I love that.
Yeah, so it was incredible. So there you go. I went from that, and then it like consumed me, and I spent like a lot of time doing that. It was great, and I accomplished these things I never thought I would do, and like, you know, it challenged my like limits or like my beliefs on like what could be done.
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that, and like you know, it's interesting that transition of. I equate any big shift in your life when, you know, you've got social media is such a gift to us, right? I mean, I got to know that you were training and I didn't even know you, right? And I just got to like admire the guy. And it was like, oh, this like David Goggins and this and that. And you get sometimes, it's like when someone starts a business. It doesn't take it's not hard to like and share a photo of someone's business. It doesn't cost you anything, right? And so when you're going through that journey of like, how hard was it to explain yourself, or did you feel like you needed to when people were like, what's going on now? Like, what's happening? Because a lot of people, like, they don't go from, and so just for a bit of context, one of my best friends growing up has had colitis as well. And it was before, like, they didn't know what it was. So I'm very familiar with the disease that you suffered from or suffer from. But it's interesting, like the mind, like how strong your mind had to be like, okay, no, I'm going to shift this. I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to go take it there. Right. So it was like, from a distance, I was like inspired. You know, I mean, I'm a morning gym guy too, but I'd wake up on a Saturday and you'd already done 50K on the bike. I was like, fuck. It's like, I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah. So
how was that transition?
I used, like social media can be used for so many different reasons and avenues. So
yeah.
I chose to use it as like my platform to show everyone else like it can be done.
Yeah.
Like you can live this lifestyle, maybe not a healthy one, and you can change. Like if I can change, I guarantee everybody out there can change. Like you can completely change everything you want. Like you have no reason to be, if you don't want to be the person you were yesterday, you could flip a switch.
Yeah.
Was it difficult? Yeah. Like I spent majority of my life in this circle, living this one life. And then like that, I decided to change.
Ass pads.
Yeah. Like and spandex and like lifting weights and like eating perfectly and not drinking and like cutting out all these things. Yeah. And with that, like I had to like have friends that were in those circles of partying and stuff. And like, you know, I had to distance myself to begin with. Like I can still hang out with some of them now. Some of them, they're still in that lifestyle. And you know what? It's not for me, but I have no judgment on them. Like they can do whatever they want. And then I also connected with people that were kind of on this path as well too. So
it's great. Eh?
Yeah, you hang out with these type of people for the most part, but I still have really good friends that I grew up with my entire life that have been there and that stayed with me and then respected my decisions on that. And like,
totally.
You know, I've never maybe in like, I don't know, the entire 5 years, I had like one buddy that was like, you should drink with me tonight. And I was like, that is the most outrageous thing you've ever said. But everyone else was like completely respectful of the decisions and like understands like this is the path that I'm on now and like supports me, likes my post, shares my post, congratulates me on like, you know, the accomplishments that I made, which is huge.
Yeah. I feel sometimes entrepreneurship is interesting because for everybody it comes at different times, right? It's like when people start having kids and people are like, well, I've lost my friend. It's like, he's a dad now. It's like, no, like you haven't if you either go to them, like, you know, I find it funny, like some of my dad buddies, it'll be like, okay, I'll come by at 8. Because the kids will go down, right? And, or like, you know, Saturday morning, 6:30, good. We'll hang out, have a coffee. Or like during a work day, because the kids are at school. Instead of being like, what are you doing at 5 after work? Like,
it's family time.
Why are we hanging out again? Like, or I'll come by for dinner. But I think it's very similar with entrepreneurship as well as health, right? Like, I remember COVID. I was telling you about Nate. He got a road bike. He's like, man, you got to get a bike. Like, you know, we'd always work out together. And I'm like, Nate, I don't have $5,000 to go buy a bike. And he had an old mountain, like it was like a road mountain bike, like a cross bike. But you know the difference between a road bike and that. Like it blew me on the water, right? So I was like, if you're cycling next year, I'll buy a bike. Right. So sure enough, he fell in love, kept doing it. So I bought a bike. And I remember how much I was avoiding becoming a cyclist.
Yeah. It's like, I did it for a while too. It's like,
I was like, I'm just going to wear my shorts. It'll be fine. I'm not getting clip-ins.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sure enough, Guys with Thighs originated, and all of a sudden we're, you know, just get you out, spandex, clip-ins, flamboyantly.
It's funny you say that. I hired a triathlon coach, and the first time I met him was one of these group rides we did with the Triathlon Club of Burlington. I showed up in basketball shorts, a sleeveless, a shaker cup with protein, and my road bike had clip-ins. And these guys, like I said, had been cycling for 20 or 30 years. And I kept up with them the whole time. And I later went on to win an award a couple years later of like most improved athlete. And Coach Greg, he was like, okay, so this award goes to, you know, the guy that showed up to his first meet with us in a cutoff shirt with a protein shaker cup. And I was like, try not to be a cyclist. And but yeah, you go back to and now I have like all this like sweet gear that it's so expensive too, by the way. It's like you buy a Castelli shirt for friggin' $250, but you know.
But it matches the pants.
Yeah, and then it matches my bike, which is like all like, you know, you got to look good while you ride. So
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. So I used to people are like, oh, fucking cyclist. So like I have a Harley, I have a bicycle, and I am a driver, and I'm aggressive. So I'm always like, I just there's no judgment at all. Like people on rides would be like, oh man, you gotta. I'm like, no, I'm running reds on my bicycle. I'm running reds. I'm like, no, I'm like the opposite. I'm like outside of the bike lane and the thing. I was like, man, I'm a big dude.
Yeah, you need
I was
space.
like, it's way better for me to be out there and not get clipped then try to stay in the bike lane, have to swerve a little bit and go over my handlebars. But it's super funny. So man, health, you know, going through you know, I'd say traumatic, but going through life journey, getting into entrepreneurship, like how do you manage your time these days? What's like some of the tools that you use?
I'm a big calendar guy.
Love that.
So I schedule everything. Getting a little bit more lenient on it now, but at one point it's like you have everything that you're getting done in the day down to your meals, like when you should be eating, because diet was a huge part of it. Not diet, sorry, eating healthy was a huge part of it.
Yep.
But yeah, so you know, I love
that you just changed that frame.
Yeah, eating healthy. It's not diet. It's like just eating healthy, which is actually just eating normal, but everyone's calling it a diet. But it's really, you should just be eating normal.
I love how you frame that. I catch myself doing that a lot. Yeah, good.
And people think I'm on to this crazy diet. That's why I said it. I'm like, no, I'm just eating normal foods. Like, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so scheduling workouts, which is key because it's for me, it's like the foundation of if I'm not healthy, then everything else is going to go slip. So I get like daily work in. Most of the time it's in the morning before work because I want to get something hard done. And then the rest of the day is just like nothing can bother me.
Nice.
So schedule that in. And then we have scheduled stuff for like on-site stuff, and then in-office stuff, and then with the assistants. And then I was doing scheduled social media time and things like that, where it's like you're time blocking specific things that need to get done. And I'll usually spend, that's like kind of like a Sunday activity. You know, what am I going to do this week? Or it's a Monday is like a complete rest day for me from the gym. So I've been going into the office very early and doing it then, where it's like, instead of being at the gym at 5:30 in the morning, I'm in the office and I'm like, all right, what are we doing this week? And it's like, okay, plan it all out. There it is. All right. Now it's like 6:30. It's like, okay, like let's get the week started.
How's that feel?
It feels great. Like it's definitely a game changer. Cause you can kind of see everything that you have there, what you're missing. And then I looking back, it's like, we'll do time audits too of kind of where your time versus what you did, what you scheduled versus what you did, or what you actually got done in those times. So we're trying to
just say that one more time, because that's like, so we're going through that now, I guess. And that's a critical piece. Like, okay, did you do what was in your schedule?
Yeah. So it's like, did you do
what did you call it? Time audit?
It's a time audit. Yeah. So it's you seeing where your time is going. And so I got this from, I have a business coach as well, and they wanted me to do a time audit to take away the tasks and delegate the things that I was doing that I should not be doing. Like, they remind me that I am the CEO, and like there's things that the CEO is doing and there's things that you be delegating. And then you start looking at it and it's like, for a time I was like going to get material every once in a while. And it's like, why am I picking up material? Like, okay, we're busy. It's like, who cares? Like, well, first of all, you should have planned better, get it delivered. There's so many delivery companies now. I'm like, easy. That's $100. My time is worth far more than that doing something else. So it's things like that. And then you start identifying like where your time is being wasted and like how to stop wasting time on things like that. And she's like, I know you're going to go on Instagram in the afternoon. Like, why don't you set like a time where it's like you have an hour and a half time block of working on a sales call, then go on your phone for 15 minutes, then go back to it, instead of like, you know, you can look at your screen time, and that's like a big time sucker for everybody. So that's like a big, trying to get rid of that. But yeah, it's like just auditing your time, seeing where your time goes. Same thing when you do like financial stuff too, like auditing where your money goes, like what's important to you. So, and you see what's important to you with your time.
That's great, man. Yeah. For anybody listening, that's the nugget right there. When people, a lot of times they'll come to us and, man, you're so busy. Like, just thanks for doing this or something. I was like, I am productive, and I can make time for anybody. It just has to be scheduled.
Exactly.
Yeah, we live by ours, and I think it's very, very good. So, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I thought about this one.
Yeah.
The first part of this is prioritize your health.
Okay.
From me, I didn't prioritize it, and it came back and like bit me in the ass. But in that same sentence, I made the best of it. And sometimes things like that have to happen for you to make a change. Like, I don't recommend it. Like, if you can figure it out before, do that. But sometimes, you know, things have to like fully fall apart for better things to happen. The other part of that would be, like, don't settle for anything. Some people end up in jobs or relationships or positions that they settle in, and they accept that that's where they're going to be. Maybe it's like a ceiling, right? Like, so the other job I was at, like, that's about as far as I was going to get there. And I was like, okay with it, because I was partying and I didn't see like the long-term goal. Now, a couple Ironmans deep, 5 years into this business, opportunities are endless. So you go for it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. Mark Davies. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Awesome.
Episode 69 again. I felt like a couple minutes.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Just before the show, I prepped Mark. I said it's going to feel like we were talking for about 2-3 minutes. So it always goes up quick. But Mark, all his Instagram, all his handles, everything's going to be in there. We didn't even get to some of the charitable works Mark does and giving back and sharing his journey. But you got to check him out on Instagram. He's a beast. If you haven't seen him, you got to check him out. Davies General Contracting out of Burlington, Rockstar, and really today on a Saturday morning, the sun shining through the clouds somewhere, is a great way to start my morning. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I really appreciate talking today. It was awesome.
Rock on. That's it, buddy. Killed it.
Thanks, man.